Hey everybody, it's Justin from Bittner Built, and today we're going to focus on shed storage. You know, these sheds, it's easy for them to get to be a place where we just throw everything, and that's exactly what happened for my sons. We had a 4th of July party, and I asked my sons to put everything away, and that is what happened. It is just now a giant, stupid pile of stuff in here. Apart from the kid aspect of it, it's because we have too much stuff in this shed. If you have too much stuff going in here, you're never going to be able to keep it organized. So we're going to look at some options for relocating some things outside of the shed. We are going to look at taking advantage of the height of this shed. I have like a larger kind of loft area. We're going to build an organization solution for that to better utilize that space and get a lot of stuff up top. And then we're also going to build some cool custom organizers all the way around the walls. Today on Bittner Built. All right, so the very first thing, my sons are now going to rip everything out of the shed so that we can have a nice clean space to get working. The next step is to audit all my stuff that I have here. There's tons of garbage that was in there, things that are 99% empty that I should just get rid of, things that I'm going to give away. There's lots of toys like my kids' old beach toys. My boys are teenagers now, they don't need that. So we're just going to give all that type of stuff away. So there's a lot of stuff that shouldn't be going back in here in the first place. Next, I'm sorting everything that's left into groupings. So all of my chemicals, all of my party tents and chairs, the sporting goods and toys, and then tools and bicycles. This way I can kind of look at it as a collection to see the best way that I can fit that back into the space. So we're going to start with organizing up on top of this loft area. This came with my shed. It's 4 foot by 10 foot, and it's got 3 feet of height up there. So you can fit quite a lot of big stuff up there. When I had a riding lawnmower, I would keep my big bagger setup up there, and it took over probably half of it. But I don't really have any huge things to put up there anymore. So I want to be sure that rather than just stacking and stacking all sorts of stuff on top of each other that you're never going to be able to get it out, I want to compartmentalize that space so that everything has its space and you can take those things out without disturbing other things. We're going to start with my folding tables here. Folding tables take up a huge amount of space, so we're going to build a shelf just above this going all the way across the top, and then I'm going to put cubbies after this for, let's say, all of our folding chairs and some smaller pop-up tents and stuff. And then on top of that shelf, I have a whole nother space again, and we'll have to see what we're going to put up there. I quickly constructed 3 shelf spacers. These are your typical framing construction. Really simple, very easy. I use 2x3s to keep the weight down. They will be more than strong enough for this application. Obviously, your dimensions may vary, but it's 4 foot by 1 foot tall. The 1 foot tall will clear those folding tables up on the loft. Tight quarters in here. I'm going to go ahead and screw these down into the studs below. I just slid on my first piece of OSB, cheap thin plywood. I actually cut it, I ripped it down in half just because I wouldn't be able to get it through the door and angle it up here and stuff. It's easier to use, and then I'm just going to slide on the other piece to tack it down. Also, I'm able to hop up here right now and get it from the top because this is not going to support my weight very well. So in thinking about that, I think I have too much of a gap over here. It's fine where the tables are, but I think I need to make one more, so I'm going to have 4 of the shelf spacers just to support the weight on top. I've made the 4th spacer, and I'm putting it in here loose right now just because I added all of my folding lawn chairs that we take to our kids' games, and I wanted to fit this perfectly so I can maximize the space that's over here for something else. All of these are just screwed down with 2 screws, so it's not a huge deal. Later on, if I get more things and I need to reconfigure it, I can just unscrew it, slide it over a little bit, screw it back down again. All right, I finished this upper loft, and honestly, I still even have a lot more room. I could decide to put another level of shelving up there as well, and I think that would work out pretty well. For now, I'm going to keep working on the rest of the shed, and I can always double back to this area. I want to see how the organization system with everything else goes. But at least in these main areas right here, it's very clear, defined areas that I can take something out of. It's not going to have to go through a giant pile of other stuff to get to it and put it right back again. And I tried to keep the stuff that my wife and kids might access more here, whereas that's kind of party stuff, and this is some bigger, less used stuff like snow shovels, a barrel full of tarps, things like that. Some other storage that I previously built that I'm going to keep in place that I wanted to show you is this is directly above the entrance door. I added a small shelf to lean up a lot of my outdoor power tools against, chainsaws, blowers, and whatnot. Also, I had previously built another shelf that connected the loft area to the front of the shed on both sides. This shelf is great for chemicals, stuff that I don't want the dog or little children to get into that are dangerous, so we keep this type of stuff up here out of reach. Both of these shelves, because the roof is slanted, you have minimal storage space, but it's totally great for your outdoor chemical type of stuff. You'll have just enough space to put all of that up there. Started to move some of the bigger stuff into the shed just so I can play around with where things can go, but bicycles are a big challenge. These used to be inside the garage hanging from the ceiling, but I've needed that space for different woodworking stuff now. So they got moved out here, but the shed with bikes is difficult, especially if you had a riding lawnmower in here like I used to. It's very difficult to get them in and out. You can smush them towards the wall like this to take up less space, but then it's difficult to get them in and out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take them completely out of the equation. We're gonna move them outside of the shed, and we're gonna construct a new option just for the bicycles that both keeps it secure and out of the elements. The bikes were really the crutch in organizing that shed. If I have 4 bikes in there, it takes up most of the floor, and that inhibits you from wanting to organize things. If I tell my kids to go put something away and they have to climb over bikes to get there, it's most likely just getting chucked in there, and then the shed's gonna look like it did in the beginning of the video. So I reached out to Bosmere USA. They were nice enough to send me out their tri-metal bike storage container. I saw this in person in Las Vegas at the National Hardware Show, and I thought it was amazing. It's really sturdy, well built, and easy to open and access your bikes and stuff. So this is a great solution. I'm gonna make a separate assembly video. I won't include it in this one. I'll link that down below, and it'll also be on Bosmere's website. The Bosmere tri-metal storage is fantastic in an urban environment where you might need a little bit more security for your bikes when they're out in the open. This is a very rugged enclosure that offers the ability to padlock it in 2 positions as well as have it bolted to the ground. In addition, if you're looking just for some exterior additional outdoor garden storage, they do have some models that are a little bit smaller that are specifically designed for that purpose. Okay, so I finished building the Bosmere Tri-Metals bike storage. I did it on a cheap paver base. You could do this on a poured concrete foundation or just do a cheapo paver one like I did. Cost me about 75 bucks to do myself. This unit is really nice. One-handed operation, springs up. I can lock it on both sides with a padlock. It's very rigid, very well protecting of my bikes from both being stolen as well as the elements. So I can just grab all my family's bikes and easily toss them in because it's not that high of a lip here. And now I have a lot more space inside the shed. This unit can hold up to 3 full-size adult bikes. And since it's made out of metal, you can always go get these magnetic hooks that are a few bucks and organize the inside of the unit pretty nicely. We got the bikes out of here, and we have this big space in the corner. We're about to do a whole bunch of holders for on the walls for all sorts of things, but not everything works well on a wall hanger. So what I'd like to do in this back spot, I have an extra shelving unit in the house. I'm going to bring it out here, and we're going to do some binned organization in this corner. There's a lot of small stuff, especially like think about your car maintenance, you know, washing your car and different stuff. There's a whole bunch of things that I can just make a car maintenance bin out here, and I have a lot of some of one of my business's stuff that needs a lot of bins. So we're going to make this a bin spot. If you can fit it in your shed, I think it's a good way to organize. So I've got the shelving unit in, and honestly, I regret not having this in here a lot sooner. I can just organize so much of my smaller equipment and tools on here. I even have over on the left side here some ladders and a large flat tool that I need to use for leveling out my driveway. This really utilizes the space so well. So now let's go ahead and move over to the right wall. We're going to put in some French cleats and install some custom holders for all of my longer tools. Next, we're going to put French cleat strips on this wall, but we're only going to put 2. If you've watched my French cleat video, I hope you have. It's actually the video I'm probably most proud of on YouTube. It's got a lot of views on it. People seem to like it. One of the things that I talk about is how when you have a long implement like this and it's sitting on a holder, it wants to go backwards towards the wall. So it's important that I'm going to put a French cleat strip here that will hold all of the tools. But I'm also going to put one that's a lot lower to support the tools so they're not bending into the wall, which could cause them to fall off their holders. In addition, by putting a second French cleat strip low in between the tools, because these are skinny handles, right? So there's going to be gaps in here. I can make additional holders for other smaller tools to hang on the wall if I want to. I'm hanging up my French cleat strip and I'm using a level on top just to see exactly where it's going to be level. And what I'm doing is I'm just using a brad nailer real quick, putting 2 brads in there just so it stays put. Then I'm going to go back and screw everything in. A lot quicker and easier than trying to hold it while I'm screwing in stuff. When it comes to making your holders for this wall, I highly suggest you do go watch my French cleat video. I will put it down below. But in essence, you can go as creative or just as simple as you want. Here I just did 2 butt joints on a piece of wood. And what it's going to do, a French cleat is a 45-degree angle typically. It can be any angle you want. And then you have an additional 45-degree angle, and basically it's just going to sit and interlock and basically become another piece of solid wood as you use these. So the benefit of doing the French cleat on here, other than just specifically screwing these holders to the wall, is I can relocate them to my heart's content. As I get different tools and I want to reorganize things on here, it's really easy for me to move these around or just take one off, remake it in a specific holder style for that particular tool. Now that we have this holder made, I can take my shovel, for example, and now when we look down, you can see that the shovel actually goes at a diagonal and it is now resting against this board. So that's what I was talking about, where putting a second French cleat here will actually make your stuff more stable. If I didn't have this, you'll see it wants to swing towards the wall. It would go further in past where the studs are till it hit the back wall. Now it would be sitting at a front-facing angle, which might make it fall off. So it's a good idea when you're doing a long tool like this, even if it's not another French cleat and you just want to throw a scrap piece of wood here, it supports these long tools. The tool wall is done and there's even some additional spaces for future tools. Lastly, I was able to get my spreader up on the wall, but I was able to fit my job site saw and my dethatcher on the ground on the wall here instead of putting the dethatcher up on the wall above the wheelbarrow like I thought I was going to have to, so I have a lot more space than I thought. I was able to put some of our sporting equipment up on this little shelf and then of course all of our tents in the corner. So this is the final version and I'm so happy with it. Everything has been put away. I really haven't gotten rid of that much. I moved a lot of things up onto that loft, onto the new shelf, and I delineated things so that it's easy to grab individual items. We moved the bicycles out to the Bosmere USA storage. That was a huge deal. And then I did get rid of a couple things. Here is the exact photo of what I got rid of. I gave it away free on Craigslist. It's not that much stuff. It was a whole bunch of junk that I was holding on to. And so that really freed up a lot of space for me to be well organized. All right, so we're all finished. I gotta say, I'm super happy. I have a huge amount of space right here, and a big part of that is because I was able to move the bikes over to the Bosmere bike storage system. That was a big one. And also being able to put as much stuff up high as possible too. Getting it off the floor and getting it somewhere else is a good way to make the space open up. So I hope you got a lot of good ideas. If you did, I hope you'll like and subscribe. And as always, stay safe in the shop. I'll see you in the next one.